Let's hear from the White House right now. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders joins us this morning. Sarah, thanks for joining us this morning. Let's begin with that ad right there. Is it appropriate for the president to be saying Democrats could be complicit in murder?
Look, the president's #1 job as commander-in-chief and as the president is national security, and we cannot protect American citizens. We cannot protect this country if we don't secure our border. That's the point the president's trying to make. It's the same point that he's made since he first started running for office and certainly since he was sworn in as president. It's absolutely appropriate for the commander-in-chief of this country to do everything he can to make sure he's protecting our citizens.
Might make it more difficult to get the negotiations with Democrats going, but does the president support this emerging compromise that there should be a guaranteed vote on DACA in the Senate, in the House, in return for this extension of the government funding?
Look, the president's focus right now is making sure that we get the government reopened. It's outrageous that Democrats are holding our national security hostage, that they're not allowing our brave men and women who are out there on the front lines to be compensated, their families taken care of, the Veterans Associations taken care of, and frankly, the Children's Health Care Program, all on the line while Democrats are playing political games. First and foremost, we have to reopen our government. We have to fund our government. And as soon as that is done, we're more than happy to negotiate on this, on responsible immigration reform. The president's been very clear, George, on exactly what he wants. He wants to make a deal on DACA. So the fact that Democrats are trying to pretend as if that's something that we haven't already put on the table is just disingenuous. And frankly, it's a little bit ridiculous of Chuck Schumer
as you know, not everyone agrees. Not everyone on Capitol Hill agrees that the president has been very clear. You've got Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican, saying he hasn't been a reliable partner. You've got Senator Chuck Schumer saying it's like negotiating with Jell-O. Even Senator McConnell says he can't figure out what the president wants.
Then I think maybe sometimes they're not paying attention. Look, the president has laid out what his priorities are and what his principles are. And frankly, he invited, George, all of the media in to see and have that discussion. We've laid out that we want to make a deal on DACA. We want to secure the border through the border wall and border security. We want to end chain migration, and we want an end to the visa lottery system. I don't know what's confusing about that. I know that sometimes members like Senator Schumer need a little help and guidance getting through big policy negotiations like that. But the president's laid out what he wants, and if they need help understanding it, we'd be happy to send some people over there to explain it to them.
Do you really want to be questioning Senator Schumer's knowledge of this legislation?
Look, if he's unclear about what the president has laid out, then possibly. I think, frankly and sadly, that Senator Schumer is playing games. Look, he wants to make it like this is the president's fault and that the president hasn't been anything but clear, but he has. We've laid out multiple documents explaining and outlining exactly what we're asking for. Right now, first and foremost, we want to reopen the government. As soon as we do that, we're more than happy to start negotiations on responsible immigration reform. And the Republicans are the only ones that have laid that out and laid it out both in principle from the White House and in legislation by House Republicans.
If the president's top priority is getting the government reopened, why not call everybody down to the White House today? Democrats, Republicans together in the Oval Office. Back when President Obama was in office, that's exactly what Donald Trump was calling on him to do.
Look, and the president has been engaged. I think that different circumstances call for a different type of leadership. He's been incredibly engaged. He's been spent a lot of time on the phone discussing.
No meetings
with
this weekend,
members.
Sarah.
He's had a lot of meetings internally with staff here at the White House, and they've been going back and forth with negotiations. The president has had, everybody wants to talk about the last 4 days, but George, this negotiation has been going on for several weeks, and the president has had multiple meetings over the course of that time, bringing in Republicans, Democrats, laying out what we want. The thing that I find so baffling is Democrats support everything in this piece of legislation. The fact that they won't simply vote for it to reopen our government, fund our military, protect the most vulnerable children is mind-boggling, I think, to everyone across this country.
Sarah, we're just out of time. Do you think the government's going to open today?
I sure hope so. Certainly for, again, the men and women of our great military, for the children across this country that are part of the CHIP program, and all of the various federal government employees. I hope that Democrats will stop playing games and come to the table and get serious about what they were elected to come here and do.
Sarah Sanders, thanks for your time this morning.